यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जनाय यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय निताय गौरचंद्र जय निताय गौरचंद्र जय निताय गौरचंद्र जय निताय गौरचंद्र जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय श्रील गुरुदेव ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद जी महाराज की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयत्मुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। न मे स्वः परायन्ति ब्रह्मण anaśanād pibato acyuta-pīyūṣam tad vākya-abdhi-viniḥsṛtam na me asvaḥ parāyanti brahman anaśanād pibato acyuta-pīyūṣam tad vākya-abdhi-viniḥsṛtam na me svaha parāyanti brahmana anaśanād pibato acyuta-pīyūṣam tad vākya-abdhi-viniḥsṛtam. Mataji's. Hare Krishna. Na, never, me, mine, asavaḥ, life, parāyanti, becomes exhausted, brahman, O learned brahmana, anaśanād ami, because of fasting, pibataḥ, because of my drinking, acyuta, of the infallible, pīyūṣam, nectar, tat, your, vākya-abdhi, ocean of speech, viniḥsṛtam, flowing down from. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O learned brahmana, because of my drinking the nectar of the message of the infallible personality of Godhead, which is flowing down from the ocean of your speeches, I do not feel any sort of exhaustion due to my fasting. Purport. The disciplic succession from Brahmā, Nārada, Vyāsa and Śukadeva Gosvāmī is particularly different from others. The disciplic succession from other sages are simply a waste of time, being devoid of acyuta-kathā, or the message of the infallible Lord. The mental speculators can present their theories very nicely by reason and arguments, but such lessons and arguments are not infallible, for they are defeated by the better mental speculators. Mahārāja Parīkṣit was not interested in the dry speculation of the flickering mind, but he was interested in the topics of the Lord, because factually he felt that by hearing such a nectarean message from the mouth of Srila Śukadeva Gosvāmī, he was not feeling any exhaustion, even though he was fasting because of his imminent death. One can indulge in hearing the mental speculators, but such hearing cannot endure for any length of time. One will be exhausted very soon from hearing such hackneyed ways of thinking, and no one in the world can be satisfied simply by hearing such useless speculations. The message of the Lord, especially from a personality like Śukadeva Gosvāmī, can never be tiring, even though one may be exhausted from other causes. In some editions of Srimad Bhagavatam, the text of the last line of this verse reads as Anyatra Kupidat Dvijat, which means that the king might be overwhelmed by the thought of his imminent death by the snake bite. The snake is also twice born, and its anger is compared to the cursing brahmana boy who was without good intelligence. Mahārāja Parīkṣit was not at all afraid of death, for he was fully encouraged by the message of the Lord. One who is fully absorbed in acyuta-kathā can never be afraid of anything in this world. Janmadiyasya yatanvayaditaratascarteshva abhignaswarat tene brahmaradhayadi kavaye muyanti yat suraya tejo vari mradam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargom mrisha dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi dharma projita kaitavatra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastamatra vastu shivadam tapotrayan mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute Kim va paririshvaraha sadyo hridaya vriddhi atra kritibhi sushrushubistakshanat nigama kalpataror galitam phalam shukamukhadam mritadram vasayutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuravo rasika bhuvi bhavuka om ajnanatimirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam jena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Sri Gurum dinatarinam paramanandamadhavam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadhi Pashyat Deshatarine Nityanandamaham Naumi Sarvananda Karam Param Harinama Pradam Devam Avaduta Shiromanim Anandalila Maya Vigrahaya हेमाम्बदिव्य छवि सुंदराय तस्मै महाप्रेम रसाप्रदाय चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्ण भक्तरूपा स्वरूपकं भक्तावतार भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरे प्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
So, today we are going to discuss about the life of Parīkṣit Maharaj, and we'll try to get some insights from Parīkṣit Maharaj's life, and we can come to today's verse, which is a question by Mahārāja Parīkṣit. In the Srimad Bhagavatam Mahatmya of the Padma Purana, Suta Goswami, Shaunakadi rishis, they question Suta Goswami that when did Śukadeva Gosvāmī recite Bhagavatam to Parīkṣit Maharaj? Exact tithi. When did Gokarna recite Bhagavatam to Dhundukari? And when did the Kumaras recite Bhagavatam to Nārada Muni? In reply, Suta Goswami says, after 30 years after Lord Krishna's departure, 30 years after Lord Krishna's departure to his abode, on the 9th day of the bright fortnight in the month of Bhadra, Śukadeva Goswami recited Bhagavatam to Mahārāja Parīkṣit. 200 years later, 200 years after this particular incident, in the month of Ashada, again on the 9th day of the bright fortnight, Gokarna, the famous Gokarna, he spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam to Dhundukari, the ghost, and he got delivered from the cycle of birth and death. Then 30 years after that, after Lord Krishna's departure, 30 years, then 200 years, now again 30 years. In the month of Kartik, again on the 9th day of the bright fortnight, the Kumaras recited Srimad Bhagavatam to Nārada Muni in Haridwar. So there are 3 places. So Mahārāja Parīkṣit, coming to the discussion of the life of Mahārāja Parīkṣit. Mahārāja Parīkṣit, while he was in the womb of his mother, as itself, the womb itself is a very difficult and a challenging place for a living entity to be in. For 9 months one has to stay there. And in the womb of the mother, this Parīkṣit, this little boy was struck by a Brahmastra, which was released by Ashwathama. And this little boy was feeling intense heat. Imagine, a Brahmastra, a weapon is been used to kill you in the womb, and what pain, what suffering one will get into. But because he was a devotee of the Lord at once appeared before him on the request of his mother Uttara. When Kunti Maharani was glorifying Lord Krishna, at that time Uttara came running and she expressed her, please save me. I am willing to die if you wish so, but please protect Parīkṣit. Please protect this boy in the womb. And Lord, Supreme Lord, entered the womb of his mother. And he started circumambulating Parīkṣit, that little boy. And this Parīkṣit saw that someone external somebody from outside has come to rescue me. And in this helpless condition, this Parīkṣit Maharaj, this little Parīkṣit was tolerating unbearable temperature, but he was tolerating because he had a nature of a fighter. He was a nature, Kshatriya nature. And he saw, what did he saw? That the Supreme Lord was only thumb high, height of a thumb. And he was all transcendental, he was very beautiful, he was blackish, he had an infallible body, and he was wearing a dress of a lightning yellow and a helmet on his, which was helmet of glazing gold. And this was seen by Parīkṣit. Was Parīkṣit observing the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the womb itself. So, this inauspicious time passed by the Lord protected Parīkṣit Maharaj, and an appropriate time Parīkṣit Maharaj gave birth. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, he was very satisfied with the birth of Parīkṣit Maharaj. And he had all the purificatory ceremony, purificatory process for the birth. And learned Brahmanas headed by Dhaumya, Kripacharya, recited all auspicious hymns. We need to understand, when, first of all, having a Vaishnava child, for that the parents need to actually pray to the Supreme Lord and seek blessings from sadhus, so that a Vaishnava can, or Vaishnavi can take birth as their son or a daughter. And when after prayers, if such a birth happens, then they requested that they invite all the Vaishnavas and sadhus and the brahmanas. So here Yudhishthira Maharaj invited all of them. And here, upon birth of such a son, he started giving charity. Yudhishthira Maharaj gave charity to the brahmanas, to the sadhus, to the Vaishnavas. What did he give? He gave the gold, he gave the land, he gave the villages, he gave elephants, horses, and good food. Everything was given very nicely to the brahmanas. And the learned brahmanas were satisfied with the charities of the king. They blessed Parīkṣit, and they started informing that this Parīkṣit, this son, is not ordinary. This is a very special personality. They said that this child will be a munificent donor of the charity, like Shivi Maharaj, the great Shivi Maharaj. If we want that your child should be great, then when the child is in the womb itself, there should be an arrangement made that she hears Bhagavatam throughout those 9 months, or at least reads the Bhagavatam in entire 9 months. Because by which that little boy in the womb hears, or little girl in the womb, it hears Krishna's name, Krishna's fame, Krishna's pastimes of the great devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, and Śukadeva Gosvāmī, Mahārāja Parīkṣit, and all the divine qualities come into that personality who is in the womb. So the child, the Brahmana said that this child will be a munificent donor of a charity like Shivi Maharaj. He will expand the name and fame of his family like Bharata Maharaj, the son of Dushyanta. This child will be in mental equanimity. This child will be like Brahmā. Mental equanimity means one should know how to balance, one mind should be very balanced in different situations. Not that one gets angry, or not one get into taking incorrect decision because of certain decisions. No, mental equanimity. He will be as munificent as Lord of Kailash, Lord Shiva. And he will be resort to everyone, just like Supreme Personality of Godhead Nārada gives shelter to everyone, Parīkṣit will also give shelter to everyone. He will be like Bali Maharaj in patience, and he will be a staunch devotee of the Supreme Lord like Prahlad Maharaj, and he will perform many Ashwamedha Yagyas. So these were all the great qualities with Parīkṣit Maharaj was born. So when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, departed to the whole world, departed from this world, Kali Yuga started influencing. Kali Yuga had already begun, but it was not able to show influence. But when Lord Krishna departed, Kali Yuga started to show influence. And Maharaj Yudhishthira was intelligent enough to understand this influence of age of Kali, characterized by increasing falsehood, cheating, violence, and so many other situations where Yudhishthira Maharaj realized that Kali Yuga has taken its effect now. So he enthroned his grandson Parīkṣit Maharaj on the throne. And what happened? He was trained, Parīkṣit Maharaj was very nicely trained. Just like Yudhishthira Maharaj was a great personality, great king. So was Parīkṣit Maharaj. And he handed over Mathura to Lord Krishna's grandson Vajranabh. And Yudhishthira Maharaj enthroned Parīkṣit Maharaj as the emperor of the whole world and Vajranabh as the king of Mathura. Interestingly, Parīkṣit Maharaj, Vajranabh, they met together in Brajmandal. There is a pastime in Skanda Puran where Parīkṣit Maharaj met Vajranabh, and the queens of Dwarka were also there. And Brajmandal was empty. There were nobody staying there for a long amount of time. But then Vajranabh, he divided under the direction of Shandilya Rishi, Shandilya Muni, he divided entire Brajmandal into different towns and different villages, and then he found out the various pastimes, places where the Lord had performed pastimes. He installed various deities throughout Brajmandal. And then Parīkṣit Maharaj, he brought a lot of people who were staying in Braj before, but they went outside. Parīkṣit Maharaj brought all of them back, and he made them stay again in Brajmandal. So, at that time, the queens of Dwarka were very eager to get delivered from the cycle of birth and death, interestingly. So they met Kalindi, and they asked Kalindi that, Kalindi, why are you so happy? Krishna is left. You are also the wife of Krishna. We are sad and we are dying in separation. But you are happy. How come? So Kalindi said, I have taken shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. But how can we get shelter of Bhagavatam? Krishna is Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna are non-different. So how can we get Bhagavatam? So Kalindi suggested you go to Kusum Sarovar, you perform Prem Nam Sankirtan, and Uddhavji resides there. Uddhavji will manifest from that particular place, and then you take shelter of Uddhavji. So with that plan they came in Mathura, and all of them they went and performed a big Harinam Sankirtan in Kusum Sarovar. And from that chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Uddhava manifested from the creepers. Uddhava stays in Badrika Ashram, and he also stays in Giriraj Govardhan. If one wants to see Uddhav, please come and perform Harinam Sankirtan, Prem Nam Sankirtan, and by the when you chant pure holy names, then Uddhavji will come and meet you also. He still resides there. And then Uddhavji, he told that I will discuss Srimad Bhagavatam for 1 complete month here. So everybody was very happy. But he told Parīkṣit, you have to go now. And I said, what? Bhagavatam is discussed. Vajranabh is there, the queens of Dwarka are there, and Parīkṣit was also there. Uddhava agreed to give Bhagavatam to everybody, but he said, Parīkṣit, you have to go now. And Parīkṣit Maharaj got disturbed. He said, Uddhavji, what are you saying? Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, sir, you are going to discuss. You are going to discuss who have witnessed it, and I am not going to get a chance to hear it. He said, yes. Kali Yuga has started to show its influence. If you don't go now and subdue Kali, then he will disturb my recitation of Bhagavatam. So go and subdue Kali. But what about me? when will I get a chance to hear Bhagavatam? He said, don't worry. Last 7 days of your life, Vyāsa and Śukadeva Gosvāmī will come to you and recite the entire Srimad Bhagavatam in 7 days. Whatever I am reciting in 1 month, he is going to recite you in 7 days. Do not worry. This is Krishna's plan. So he already knew, Parīkṣit Maharaj already knew what is going to happen with him. Parīkṣit Maharaj selected Kripacharya as his guru, and he performed 3 Ashwamedha Yajnas. And then Maharaj Parīkṣit was residing in the capital of Hastinapur, Kuru, and when he saw the people are affected by the age of Kali, and all the kings are gradually getting degraded, he sat on the chariot which was drawn by black horses. He had a flag which was marked with the sign of lion. Parīkṣit Maharaj's flag was marked with the sign of lion. He had black horses which were driving his chariot. And being so decorated and surrounded by the charioteers, elephants and soldiers, he left the capital to conquer all directions. And there, where is Parīkṣit Maharaj? Well, he was conquering not only all directions, but he conquered all the different varshas as well. He went to Ketumal Varsha, Bharata Varsha, he went to Kuru, Kim Purusha, and so many other places. Parīkṣit Maharaj was able to travel to those places, and he brought everybody under the control. It is not bringing under the control means they were all respecting Parīkṣit Maharaj. So Hastinapur was not only controlling this world, but it was controlling the world beyond this. So those kings were powerful kings. Such personalities were ruling the world at time. And our Hastinapur near Meerut was the place from where the whole world, not the whole world, the whole universe was ruled. Because the king was a Vaishnava, Rajarshi. And that's why everybody accepted the subordination of such a personality. And whenever Parīkṣit Maharaj was to visit all the different places while traveling, he used to often come across so many different great personalities, devotees, the kings, the brahmanas. They used to sing about Krishna's name, Krishna's fame, Krishna's pastimes, and how Krishna helped Parīkṣit Maharaj's grandfathers. So Parīkṣit Maharaj, wherever he went, he used to hear about all these things, and he used to become so pleased that how my grandfather has contributed in establishing dharma all over the world. So Parīkṣit Maharaj was very happy, and when he was used to please, he used to award them very valuable necklaces and clothing to all these people who used to sing. While traveling on conquering the whole world, Parīkṣit Maharaj, he saw the master of Kali Yuga, personified, who was lower than a Shudra, disguised as a king, and he was troubling cow and a bull. And Parīkṣit Maharaj saw that, and Parīkṣit Maharaj caught hold of him, and he wanted to kill him. But Kali Yuga, understanding the situation, he surrendered completely unto Parīkṣit Maharaj. And Parīkṣit Maharaj was a Vaishnava, was a king. When someone surrenders to you, you have to forgive him. When someone is genuinely coming and asking for forgiveness, we should forgive such a person. Parīkṣit Maharaj forgave. But Shaunagadi rishis were disturbed. Shaunagadi rishis are asking Suta Goswami Pad, why did Parīkṣit Maharaj not kill Kali Yuga? All these problems are in the world which are happening and which will happen in the future. These all are because of this Kali Yuga. Why did not Parīkṣit kill Kali Yuga? Baat kaam khatam. There will be no Kali Yuga. Imagine personified Kali Yuga was not there. If Parīkṣit Maharaj killed him, no problem. The Satyuga might have started, right? Parīkṣit Maharaj knew one thing. Kam Krishnam lati dadati iti Kali. Yes, in this age of Kali, Krishna is easily available. In Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, a lot of austerities, thousands and thousands of years of tapasya, thousands and thousands of years of endeavors are to be done for achieving that lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, but still he is not available. But here, Parīkṣit Maharaj knew that in this age of Kali, Krishna is easily available. Kam Krishnam dadi dadaditi Kali. This Krishna, simply by chanting of the holy name of the Lord's name, fame, pastimes, he becomes pleased and he's ready to get bound up by that devotee in the heart. So for this one reason, Parikshit Maharaj, he gave shelter to Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga asked, "Oh Parikshit Maharaj, this is my time. Give me some place to stay." And that's why Parikshit Maharaj gave the place where there is no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex is going on. Please, you can. Wherever these 4 activities are going on, you can reside there. Based on this principle, Srila Prabhupada started these 4 regulative principles. It is coming from Srimad Bhagavatam. It is coming from this particular incident. Kali Yuga said, "Parikshit Maharaj, these are my places. I naturally reside in these places. What's new? You shall give me something new." I said, "Okay. Then the place where gold is there, you can reside in the gold." So Maharaj Parikshit gave him permission to reside in these 5 places. And then Parikshit Maharaj, but Kali Yuga was not finding any such place. Till the time Parikshit Maharaj was ruling the kingdom, Kali Yuga was not able to find these 5 places to reside. It was very difficult for Kali Yuga. So, but something happened in the life of Maharaj Parikshit. Kali Yuga is chatur, Kapati is kapati. So he could not influence anybody, but he influenced one little boy, 7 years old boy. Parikshit Maharaj was traveling on different places, protecting the devotees, protecting the brahmanas, establishing dharma. He was traveling. While traveling in a forest, he once became very thirsty. He became very hungry, and then he found a place. He thought, "Let me go and just eat something." So he went to an ashram of Shamik Rishi. Shamik Rishi was sitting there in meditation. Imagine Prime Minister Narendra Modi is coming to our house, and we are sitting, we are chanting on the holy name, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He's at the door. He's saying, "Hey, come on, get up." And there was no response. So Shamik Rishi was in trance. He was actually in trance. He was actually meditating on the Supreme Lord. And Parikshit Maharaj, the emperor of the whole world, was at his door. And Parikshit Maharaj, when he did not receive any welcome, neither he was offered any water, neither any sweet words, nor even given a place to sit, there was nothing. So Parikshit Maharaj was thirsty, he was hungry, so it was natural for him that he got disturbed. And then he thought of leaving that place. But before leaving, he saw a dead snake lying there. So Parikshit Maharaj, by the help of his arrow, he picked up that dead snake and put it on garlanded that Shamik Rishi as a punishment. That you deserve that. You did not welcome me. I am hungry, I am thirsty. 24 hours I am working for you to maintain all of you. And now I want little water, you cannot give me. Parikshit Maharaj, while he was in a situation where he was distressed with extreme hunger and thirst. So, because of which he became angry, and he never did this before to any brahmana. But this was such situation that it happened. And while Parikshit Maharaj was on the way back to his kingdom, he was contemplating. He was thinking, did I do something wrong? And he thought to himself, yes, if that sage was actually in trance, he was actually meditating on the Supreme Lord, then actually I have committed a grave offense. And then Parikshit Maharaj folded his hands, prayed to the Lord, "Oh my dear Lord, let a biggest calamity of my life fall on me. let all my wealth, let all my possessions, let everything go away. Can we pray such things when we are in difficulty? When we are in difficulty, what do we pray? Oh my dear Lord, please protect me. My dear Lord, please do everything. I have done this mistake, but please make sure that my mistake is not brought to public. Please do some arrangement by which I can escape. Here Parīkṣit Maharaj was not like that. Parīkṣit Maharaj was praying that, my dear Lord, please make such arrangement by which my pride is crushed. Because of this, because of I being the king, I did this great offense. Because I was proud of my position. So please. So this news of Shamik Rishi being garlanded by the snake reached the Shringi, the 7-year-old Brahmana son. 7 years old boy, 7 years old boy. My son is also 7 years old. I can understand 7 years old what they can be. But he was a son of a Brahmana, very powerful. And when he saw that my father has been garlanded by a dead snake, he took it very seriously. He took that offense very seriously. And he cursed Parīkṣit Maharaj that you will, on the 7th day from now, the snake bird Takshaka will come and kill. It is very interesting. If we ask ourselves, what will we do when we are in such a situation? We also are going to die in one of the 7 days only. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We also have 7 days only with us. Parīkṣit Maharaj got a notice of 7 days. We also have a 7 days notice only with us. So we have to be prepared. How did Parīkṣit Maharaj prepared was very interesting. When Parīkṣit Maharaj, he received the news of him getting cursed, he accepted it as the will of the Lord. He took that curse as Krishna's arrangement, that Krishna has come in the form of a curse. We need to understand that everything and anything which is happening in our lives as devotees, we are practicing devotees, our file is with Krishna directly. It is not with Yamarajji. Our file is transferred long back. When we took shelter of the holy name, we took shelter of the Supreme Lord, when we offered pranams to the Lord, our file was transferred. Not transferred actually, Chitragupta deleted it. And a new file was opened with the Supreme Lord. So our life is actually under the control of the Supreme Lord. So what happened in Parīkṣit Maharaj's life? Parīkṣit Maharaj took it in a way, he understood this is Krishna's arrangement. But because I was attached to name, fame, pratishtha, although he was not, but he was thinking, I was very greedy, I was puffed up because of my opulence. So Krishna has come in the form of a curse. Although Parīkṣit Maharaj was powerful enough to counteract that curse. Parīkṣit Maharaj could have easily gone back to Shamik Rishi, asked for forgiveness, but he did not do any of such things. He could have easily counteracted that curse, returned the curse, or he could have protected himself from that curse, but he did nothing of this sort. Parīkṣit Maharaj simply accepted the curse and he gave up his kingdom to Janmejaya, his son. He wore a dress of a sadhu and he started walking on the bank of Ganges. And when Parīkṣit Maharaj started walking on the bank of Ganges, all the great personality from all over the universe, the news spread all over that Parīkṣit Maharaj, the king, the emperor of the whole world, in all the varshas the news spread, all the universe the news spread, that Parīkṣit Maharaj, the emperor of the whole world, our dear Parīkṣit, who is very, very dear to us, our emperor, he has 7 days left with him, he has got cursed. And he is now walking on the bank of Ganges. So all the great personalities from all the universe, they started coming on the bank of Ganges to see Parīkṣit Maharaj, to bless him, to make sure that he has an auspicious going back. And Parīkṣit Maharaj welcomed all these great personalities, and he asked 2 questions to them. He asked them, "Oh great personalities, which is that activity which one always has to perform? And which is that activity when one has to perform and only has 7 days with him?" And when Parīkṣit Maharaj put forward such questions, Ishtagoshti began, meetings started. The discussions, agenda was, 2 agendas were there in the meeting, so that what activity one should perform. We should have such kind of agendas in our Ishtagoshtis also as well. So they started discussing and they started suggesting a lot of things to Parīkṣit Maharaj. Because they were not everybody Vaishnavas. Some were Brahmarshis, some were different kinds, some were of different faith. So all of them were there. They started giving, some said give charity, some said this, some said that. But just at that time, Vyāsa and Śukadeva Gosvāmī, just at that time when discussion was going on, 16 years old Śukadeva Gosvāmī, Vyāsanandan, son of Vyasadeva, entered the arena. And as soon as Śukadeva Gosvāmī entered the arena, all these great sages who were thousands and thousands years of old, they stood up by seeing a 16 years old Śukadeva Gosvāmī. Why did they stood up? There is something called a Samudrik Shastra, psychognomy. This is science by which one can know the different kinds of personalities. And all these sages were expert with this science, and they saw that this is a person which has all the 32 symptoms of a Mahabhagavata in him. And when they saw Śukadeva Gosvāmī, they all stood up in great respect. And they told Parīkṣit, "Parīkṣit, Krishna has sent Śukadeva Gosvāmī to help you. Go and submit yourself to Śukadeva Gosvāmī." So Parīkṣit Maharaj goes, submits himself. And Śukadeva Gosvāmī, he knew the question before. And he said, "Parīkṣit, the answer to both your questions is Srimad Bhagavatam." Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna are not different. Krishna swadhama pagade dharma jnanadibi saha kalau nashtamrashadesha puranarkvadanoditaha. When Lord Shri Krishna departed from this world, Sutta Goswami says he again appeared in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Krishna himself. This Srimad Bhagavatam is just not a book. It can reciprocate with us just like deities reciprocate with us. Srimad Bhagavatam can also reciprocate with us, provided we take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. By hearing, by reading, by speaking about it, by remembering, by various ways we can take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is not different from Krishna. All the divine pastimes of the Lord are there in this. All the divine pastimes of the devotees are there in this. By associating with Srimad Bhagavatam, one is actually taking shelter of the Pandavas, Pitamaha Bhishma, Śukadeva Gosvāmī, Mahārāja Parīkṣit, Shaunakādi Rishi, Maitreya Rishi, all the great personalities, Jad Bharat, Rajarshi Bharat, all these great personalities we can take shelter by simply taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, and one of the best process, what Parīkṣit Maharaj heard the entire Srimad Bhagavatam and he perfected his life. What is the application of Srimad Bhagavatam? The application of Srimad Bhagavatam is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Parīkṣit Maharaj perfected his life. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Vidurji perfected his life. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Rahugan perfected his life. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Yudhishthira Maharaj perfected his life. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, so many great personalities perfected their lives. Rukmini never saw Krishna. She heard about Krishna and she wrote a letter, "Please come and kidnap me." So she also heard Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's pastimes, she heard and she fell in love with Krishna. And Krishna came and kidnapped her. So we have Srimad Bhagavatam We have this platform by which Srimad Bhagavatam is discussed on everyday basis. Nityam Bhagavata Seva is going on. So we shall also take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam and perfect our existence. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Yes, Mataji.
Thank you for constant reminder. You mentioned 3 times when it was spoken, Srimad Bhagavatam. So also Anantashesh is reciting to the 4 Kumaras, Lord Shiva is reciting to Parvati and Kagbhushan. So I was wondering, why was Lord Shiva did not want anybody else to hear, and also, you know, the parrot heard it hidingly, which was Sukha, of course. So can you shed some light, and if you know more about Kagbhushan? Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So, I have asked about this particular pastimes, about Śukadeva Gosvāmī, about Śukadeva Gosvāmī being a parrot, where he heard the Bhagavatam from Lord Shiva. So, nowhere in the scripture this story has been found actually. So, and also it doesn't seem logical that if someone hears Bhagavatam from Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva was speaking Bhagavatam to Parvati, so Parvati went off to sleep. And there was a parrot who was listening to that, so Parvati, seeing that Parvati Mataji went to sleep, so parrot started humming, and Lord Shiva was continuing to speak Bhagavatam in Samadhi, state of Samadhi. So, and then when Lord Shiva found out that that parrot was hearing Bhagavatam, it is said that he took out a Trishul and went behind him. But I don't understand, why will Lord Shiva do that? When someone has heard Harikatha, and then that person went to Vyasa's wife's womb, and he became Śukadeva Gosvāmī. That is a version which is Laukik version, which is available in the world. But Shastric version is that how was Śukadeva Gosvāmī born, was that when Vedavyasji, when he compiled 4 Vedas, he distributed it to his disciples. When he compiled a Mahabharata, he gave it to Romarshan Sut. Puranas were given to Romarshan Sut. When he compiled Bhagavatam under the directions of Nārada Muni, he could not find anybody who could actually spread the teachings of Bhagavatam. So he prayed. So he prayed to Lord Krishna, and Śukadeva Gosvāmī was born. And when Śukadeva Gosvāmī was born, he was not coming out from the womb of its mother actually. And Vedavyasji had to go to Dwarka. This is in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. Vedavyas had to go to Dwarka, bring Krishna. And Krishna told Śukadeva Gosvāmī, you please come out, my Maya will not touch you. And then Śukadeva Gosvāmī was born. So this is the version which is there in the scriptures, that Vedavyas had actually prayed. But that other version, there is no mention. It is a Laukika, it is available. There are so many such pastimes which are there in Laukika, but they are not in Shastra. So it's one of those. Hare Krishna. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for such an enthusiastic, inspiring glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhuji, I had one doubt about, I had also come across one similar type of a story which never I seen in any scripture. Like after Parīkṣit Maharaj got cursed, then in some of the Puran, like maybe it could be Laukik-kathā, that he was put himself into some chamber where like nothing was entering, nothing could come even so, and he was there. So is it having any reference, or it is just...
Parīkṣit Maharaj, when Śukadeva Gosvāmī completed the whole Srimad Bhagavatam to Parīkṣit Maharaj, Śukadeva Gosvāmī asked again, is there anything you want to know, Parīkṣit? It was the 7th day, and Śukadeva Gosvāmī asked, is there anything you want to know more, Parīkṣit Maharaj? At that time he said, Anujanehi mam brahman vāśyam yasyami adokshaje mukta kama shayam cheta pravishya visrajami asun. He said, Gurudev, by your causeless mercy, my existence is purified. I am very easily able to fix the mind unto the lotus feet of Lord Adhokshaja. Please kindly allow me to give up my life. And Śukadeva Gosvāmī, he said, Tathastu. He said, so be it, give up the body. And then Parīkṣit Mahārāja, he meditated, he fixed his mind unto the lotus feet of Lord Adhokshaja, fixed his mind, and then he became still like a tree, and then he gave up his life. Takshak had not come. Remember, he was cursed. He was cursed to die of a snake, bite of a snake bird. Snake bird has not yet come, and Parīkṣit Mahārāja, by the strength of Bhagavatam, was able to perfect his life. Parīkṣit Mahārāja took shelter of his guru, Parasana Bhagavata, and heard the Grantha Bhagavata, and then he himself became a Bhagavata. And then by the strength of the blessings of Parasana Bhagavata, his Gurudev, he attained perfection. And Takshak came and he burned the dead body of Parīkṣit Mahārāja, just like we do as if in the funeral when we burn the dead body. So Takshak only came to burn the dead body. Bhagavatam mentions in the 12th canto, 6th chapter, 6th verse, that Parīkṣit Mahārāja already left the world before Takshak would come. And this particular pastimes, not authentic.
Prabhuji, another question.
Yes,
This in Brihad Bhagavatamrita was spoken on the 7th day. So, like, but this doesn't come in Bhagavatam. So, like, where we can get the reference of that?
What?
That Uttara was spoken Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Parīkṣit Mahārāja.
If our acharyas have said it, accept it.
Yes.
Simple. Okay. We don't doubt our acharyas. When the acharyas have said it, it has happened, it just happened. We accept it. Simple. Yes,
thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for the nice class. You're saying that Uddhava lives in two places, even today, like Badrikashram and Govardhan. And you said if we go and actually chant the pure names, he will appear to us. Are you advising that like we should do it? On what strength we can actually expect him to come? Because it's something that I would see that it's not possible for conditioned souls like us. I mean, in what context did you make that remark?
I just mentioned it because it was in the class that I had to speak about Parīkṣit Mahārāja's interaction with Vajrana, because the discussion came up, that's why we spoke. And the process which they followed which Vajrana and Parīkṣit and the queens of Dwarka, which they followed to get association of Uddhava, was that they performed Sankirtan. And our acharyas also mentioned that if in some of the commentaries that if one wants to associate with Uddhavji, one can go to Kusum Sarovar and perform. Uddhavji is there. Everybody is there in Braj. Krishna is there. All the pastimes are still going on. Yes, if you want to, he's there. Only we should have that cry. You need to cry to see associate of the Lord. If you cry, he will be available.
Has it happened to anybody, or has Uddhav appeared to anybody, any devotee at all? Do we have some reference? I mean, on what strength can we say?
I can only speak from Shastra. So Shastra says, Skanda Puran says, that's why I am saying it.
No, Shastra says that he is residing there, but does Shastra say that,
Shastra mentioned that they perform Prem Nam Sankirtan and Uddhavji manifested. Simple.
Manifested to a pure devotee.
To everybody there who are performing Nam Sankirtan.
I see.
Okay. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji had a question.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the class today. My question is, Mahārāja Parīkṣit was so equanimous in accepting the curse, perfected his life, and went back home, back to Godhead. But why did his son get so angry with the snake bird that he then did that yagya in which all the snakes were forcibly called and they were
Yes.
getting caught in the fire and so on. Can you explain
Yes.
the reaction of the son?
Janmejaya was also sitting and hearing everything. He was also in that assembly and hearing from Śukadeva Gosvāmī. Even Suta Goswami was sitting next to Parīkṣit Maharaj and hearing everything, heard everything. And Suta Goswami narrated these things to Shaunakādi rishis. So Janmejaya was also there. But his attachment was so strong to his father that although he saw his father departing, but Takshak came and because it was his right to burn the father. It was Takshak came and burned Parīkṣit Maharaj, went to ashes, so he got disturbed. It was natural that when a father leaves, it was son's duty to burn the body of the father. But Takshak came and burned, so that he got disturbed. And how can? How can he do this to my father? So he got upset. He said, okay, then I'll finish you off, everybody. And then Takshaka took shelter of Indra. And then when he told Brahmanas, come on, chant the mantras to kill all the snakes. And the Brahmana said, okay, because he was the king, he was the emperor, he was the boss. He said, if king is telling do it, they have to do it. And they were doing that. And all the snakes were falling. And then he asked the Brahmanas, where is Takshaka? And he said, Takshaka has taken shelter of Indra. Then Janmejaya said, call for Indra. Put Indra also in this yagya. Finish him off. Because he was so angry. He said, kill Indra with Takshaka if he has given a shelter to wrong personality who has killed my father. I want that he should also be killed. They started chanting the mantra to kill Indra along with Takshaka. And then Brahma has to interfere. So Brahma said, Janmejaya, what are you doing? If he gets killed, we'll have the whole new Indra has to come and all these things we'll have to do. Why are you doing this? Take it easy. Please take it easy, Janmejaya. Your father has already attained perfection. So then he calmed down.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful class. So I just have one question, like the process is that we hear the Bhagavatam attentively, then apply in your life, that is requires certain amount of time, and then we perfect our life.
By hearing Bhagavatam,
yeah,
we are actually associating with great personalities. If we are hearing with rapt attention,
yes,
just like Parīkṣit Maharaj heard, like Dundukari heard. It is said only two people heard Bhagavatam nicely. One is Parīkṣit Maharaj, other is Dundukari. Dundukari was a ghost, Parīkṣit Maharaj was a devotee. Only these two are glorious because they heard Bhagavatam so attentively that they perfected their life. So if we hear Bhagavatam like this and contemplate on it, contemplation is very important. In this world of WhatsApp, Facebook and so many social media, we are so occupied we don't have time for contemplation. We hear Bhagavatam but we don't have time for contemplation. We study but we don't have time for Smaran. Smaran is a very important aspect. Smaran, by thinking of Krishna, by hearing, by thinking of what we have heard, and by contemplating our current situation, we can actually purify our mind. And Krishna, with purified mind, the Krishna comes and resides in such purified mind. By hearing Bhagavatam, it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the second verse, Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute Kimva Parerishvaraha Sadhya Hride Avruddha Atra Krutibhi Shushubhistakshanāt. Means what? Simply by mere desire to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, if someone had desire to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, by the culture of this knowledge, the Supreme Lord Krishna is ready to get bound up by the devotee in his heart. So we have to hear, contemplate, meditate on the subject matter, and the Lord will enter in our heart. But the culture of Bhagavatam will pull. Bhagavatam Krishna not different. So Bhagavatam will help Lord Krishna establish in your heart.
Thank you.
So application of Bhagavatam is hearing.
Rapt attention.
Hearing with rapt attention and thinking or contemplating. And definitely speaking. Hearing, I'll add reading, kirtan, and then smaran. So four things you can do with Bhagavatam. Hear from a devotee whose life is Bhagavatam, read Bhagavatam under the guidance of a devotee. Then whatever you understand, whatever your realizations are, share that in your own words. This is kirtan, that too get trained from the sadhus, and then smaran, thinking about it.
So this is all the process we have to follow, or one of the process we can follow?
All the processes are essential, but if you do one also nicely, it will help you. It will help you with perfection. Hearing also with rapt attention, that itself will transform everything.
Bro, hearing with rapt attention means like when you hear Bhagavatam, so when you contemplate, so you are like, I have to bring what are the anathas on me, and I have to compare with
Lord's glories, Lord's name, Lord's form, Lord's pastimes are so powerful that when you hear, it purifies the heart of the conditioned living entity. Lord cleanses the heart of the devotee. So it is a natural purifying process. Simply hearing itself with rapt attention is a purifying process. Your existence will be purified. Okay? It's a process perfect in itself. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki.